Hello everyone, this is Archana Lakaut studying in BSc MPCS final year. Today I am going to discuss about crystal structure and Bravais lattice from the solid state physics chapter. Firstly, we have to know about a crystal. What is a crystal? A crystal is a solid where the atoms form a periodic arrangement. Generally, to form a crystal, there must be a periodic arrangement, that is, in every plane there must be repetition of atoms or ions or molecules. Here we can see the picture of crystal and the picture of crystal arrangement. So now we will know about different forms of crystal. There are two types of crystals, single crystal and a polycrystal. Amorphous solid is not a crystal form. Crystal forms single crystal, any solid object in which an orderly three-dimensional arrangement of the atoms, ions or molecules is repeated throughout the entire volume. Here in this single crystal we can see, in the third slide we can see the picture of the single crystal. We can see atoms are arranged periodically across the volume. So it is known as single crystal. Now polycrystal. A polycrystalline material is comprised of many small crystallites with different crystal orientations that are separated by grain boundaries. Here we can see in the picture there are some boundaries throughout the crystal. So throughout the plane, and these boundaries we can see atoms are arranged periodically. So as there are many boundaries throughout the volume, it is known as polycrystal. Now amorphous solid do not have any ordered structure and orderly arrangement of the atoms or ions in a three-dimensional structure. Here we can see the picture of amorphous solid in the third slide. So here we can see atoms are not arranged properly, that means not periodic. So it is known as amorphous solid. It is not a crystalline form. Until now we have known what is crystal and what are its forms. Now we will know how the crystal forms. What is crystal lattice? So what is crystal lattice? Is a regular arrangement of the constituent atoms or ions or molecules in three-dimensional space. So in this picture we can see atoms are arranged in the three-dimensional space. We can see both red and blue colored atoms are arranged in a three-dimensional space, that means at the vertex of the cube. So this space is known as crystal lattice. Generally, to form a crystal, both lattice and basis is required. So now we will know what is lattice and basis of a crystal. So here in this picture we can see the space lattice plus base together forming a crystal lattice. So here lattice of a crystal tells how to repeat the periodicity of the crystal. So lattice tells how to repeat the atoms, that means these points are the lattice points, which tells how to repeat of how the atoms are repeated throughout the volume. Basis tells what to repeat according to the lattice to get the crystal. So here in the basis we can see there is other two dots which are mentioning basis, and after this we can see both lattice and basis together forming a crystal lattice. In the second slide we can see the arrangement of the crystal. Here we can consider this green colored atoms as a lattice points and blue colored atoms as a basis points, and both of these are combining together and forming a crystal in the crystal lattice space. Now we will know what is the unit cell of the crystal lattice. The smallest repeating unit of the crystal lattice is the unit cell. It is the building block of a crystal. That means Here in the second slide we can see the arrangement of the crystal. Both the green color and purple colored atoms together forms a unit cell. As these are repeating throughout the volume, these are considered as a unit cell, and these can be arranged into 4 different types that are we can see here in the 7th slide. So these unit cells can be arranged firstly in the primitive, that means at the edges of the cube, and second one at the center, and one of the atom can be arranged at the center of the cube, which is known as body centered cube. Next, and some other atoms which can be arranged at the faces of the cube, and this is known as face centered, and other one which is known as side centered, where only two faces of the cube are filled with the atoms. Now Bravais lattice, we will know about the Bravais lattice. Bravais lattice is a lattice in which the atom or all the atoms at the lattice points are identical. Here in the 6th slide we can see here, as we see space lattice, that means at these points all the atom must be identical, so then it is known as a Bravais lattice. Bravais lattice refers to the 14 different 3-dimensional configurations into which atoms can be arranged in the crystals. So we can say that Bravais are 14 different 3-dimensional configurations into which atoms can be arranged. So these Bravais lattice was named after Auguste Bravais, who was a scientist who discovered this lattice structures. Classification of Bravais lattice. Here we can see different types of, here we can briefly we can say there are 7 types of structures into which completely forms 14 different structures. Here first one is cubic. Let's imagine first this blue colored atom cube, and its height as A, and both bases as B and C, and its corresponding angles as alpha, beta and gamma. So for the cubic structure, A is equals to B is equals to C is must required, and alpha, beta, gamma must be 90 degrees. So at this condition, cubic satisfies all the 3 conditions, that is primitive, that means all the atoms can be arranged at the vertex of the cube, and another at body center and another at the face center. Next, tetragonal, A is equals to B, which is not, and it is not equals to C, and alpha is equals to beta is equals to gamma is equals to 90 degrees. Here it must maintain all the angles must be 90 degrees, but height and base must not be equal. Then it forms only 2 types of structure, that is some atoms can be first one is primitive and other is body centered. Orthorhombic. Here orthorhombic, A is not equals to B is not equals to C, that means all the height and bases are not same, but alpha, beta, gamma is equal to 90, that means all the angles are 90 degrees. Then it forms three structures, that are first one is primitive, second one is face body centered, and third one is face centered, and other is side centered also. Next, hexagonal. Here A is equals to B and not equals to C, and alpha is equal to beta is equals to 90 degrees. Here both alpha beta are at the same angle, but gamma is changing to 120 degrees. Then it forms a hexagonal shape. Next, a trigonal. Here A is equals to B is equals to C, alpha is equals to beta is equals to gamma, which is not equals to 90 degrees. That means all the angles are not same, that means not equals to 90 degrees, it might be some other angle, but A is equals to B is equals to C. Now monoclinic, A is not equals to B and A is not equals to B, B is not equals to C, that is all these are heights and bases are not same, but alpha is equals to gamma is equals to 90 degrees and beta is not equals to 120 degrees. So it forms two structures, that is primitive and other one is side centered. Next, triclinic. Triclinic, here A is not equals to B is not equals to C. So and also alpha is not equals to beta is not equals to gamma, which is not equals to 90 degrees. So then it forms only one structure, that is primitive. So like this, all these structures are given by Auguste Bravais. So it is known as Bravais lattice. So finally, thank you.